Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much and welcome again to our show, Let's Talk. Today it's a privilege and honor to have one of my favorite couples on Ian and Beth on these chairs. And I think we're going to have an awesome time as we're going to share our stories, we're going to share what they're involved in and what they're doing and what they're up to. I'm sure your life is going to be impacted, and I'm sure you're going to be inspired, and I'm sure that your life perhaps will change today. So stick around and let's share the journey together. Yeah, man. Let's talk. Can you talk, man? Let's talk. I know you got the story, man. Come on, let's talk. Let's talk. Thank you again, and welcome back. As I said, today is going to be an awesome day. It's going to be an awesome session. I'm so excited. I'm so honored today. Before I introduce my guest today, I have my wife with me. Hallelujah. Man. I actually thought it was going to be hard to have a seat on this chair today.
It's
But
okay,
it
my,
was
my,
very
my
easy.
wife is here too.
I just told her, babe, I'm doing, Mirembe. Well, now I'm telling you,
It's alright.
just pretend you didn't hear that. Just pretend you didn't hear that. I'm hosting Mirembe and her husband. Can you be with me? She's like, she went quiet for a bit. And then I just know it's okay. Yeah. She didn't say
It's
yes.
all good.
She's like, yeah, I just know it's okay. Yeah, so, babe, thank you so much for being here.
Welcome.
Yeah. All right, so today let me introduce you my guest. These are a couple that I've seen grow, especially my brother here, Stephen. I remember I have a long, way back story with this guy, man. So please introduce yourself. Let me start with Mr. Stephen. So please tell us your name, where you're from, where were you born?
Where am I? Oh! We're going there. We're going there. So, my name is Steve. This is my wife, Mirembe.
Hello.
Let me not look at you now.
Aww.
This is my wife, Mirembe.
Mm.
We are so blessed to be together. God has been good. We have 2.5 kids.
Wow.
2 kids at home.
Amen.
The other one still loading in the stomach. Hallelujah.
Amen.
Yeah. Let me pass the mic over to my wife. Oh, you have your mic, so you can talk.
I'm sorry. You didn't say where you were born, like. Where were you born?
I won't figure that out.
We'll find that out.
Your wife can say it. I'll confess on your behalf.
Nah. Leave people in suspense.
Oh gosh. Well, hello. I'm Mirembe. I'm a mom of, I can say 3 or 2.5, as my husband has said. I'm the wife of Steve, and I was born and raised here in Perth. As someone else also was born and raised here in
Someone
Perth,
else,
but
yes.
I'm not going to mention the name.
No names.
But yeah, so
Yeah, our kids were born and raised here.
so originally from Uganda.
Oh.
So my parents came in like 1991, and so a while ago with my 3 older sisters, and I was born in 1995, so I followed and I blessed their lives, I believe,
Amen.
for the better. And so I've been raised in Mandra most of my life, and after we got married, then I moved up to Perth to be with Steve. So that's me.
Since now you've gone through the whole family history. Me, I'm the firstborn out of the 4, and I'm the eldest. I have a brother and 2 sisters. God has been good.
Wow.
We grew up here in had all our lives. All our lives. But yeah, it has been good. We've come from far, and the journey has been good.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Wow. Well, thank you so much for that introduction. Aussie people.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Yes. You probably know my wife. Just for those that don't know, please, Beth, can you introduce yourself?
Okay.
Hi, my name is Tiffany, for those that don't know. Mother of 3 beautiful boys, and I am married to Julian. Born in Africa.
Baba is getting
Oh.
shiba.
Oh.
Shake you.
Yes.
Yeah, was born in Africa. Not as lucky as they.
Why you keep pointing your finger at me? You're now, this is gonna be put up online. People are gonna know my secret. Anyway, it is what it is.
Yeah, but yeah, we thank God for our lives. Yeah, God has been good. Yeah.
Wow. Nice. As you can tell by now that we're going to have a really good time. You know? I'm so pumped.
I'm shaking.
It's alright. It's okay. It's alright. Now, just before we jump into our salvation story and everything, let me just throw this question out. Before I throw it to you guys, I'll throw it to us. I'll answer the question, and then you can copy. No, don't copy what I answer, but you answer your own question. Yeah. The question is, how did you guys meet? As far as I remember, I met her at church.
Amen.
The first time, I think she said something to do with we met before that, but I think I met her at church, Warehouse Community Church. If you know that place, you know.
I don't think I've heard of it.
Yeah.
You know it.
Yeah. You know now.
I know it now,
Yeah.
you know. I've been
In
married.
Fendel, we were very young. She was very young. We got married. She was 19. 20.
20.
Wow. Oh, you
When you sing it, I was 19.
Thank God you said that. You have now made me go in my database.
She was 20. I was 27.
Okay.
Yeah. I reckon I was very late.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up thinking of planning to get married by 25. So 2 years late. It's not too bad.
It's not that bad.
alright.
I would've been mine.
Yeah.
That's it. God was waiting for her to reach the right age.
Yeah.
God has his own plan.
Yes. And we've been together for 6 years. We just had our 6th anniversary. We are wedding anniversary. Wedding. We've been together for long and long.
Actually, how long have you been together?
But anyway, within those 6 years, we've had 3 boys. So it's been a blessed journey. It's been an awesome journey. Disclaimer. It does not mean because I met at church, you only find good wives at church. No. There is good wife out there too. So if you're looking for a wife, I mean, there's nothing wrong to visit the church.
Slight suggestion.
Yeah. So how did you guys meet? Babe, did I miss anything? Did I say it correctly?
You're good.
Yeah. How did you guys meet?
You want to take it away or should
We met so many years ago because we were still, our families were all still new back in the days, back in the 90s. So we were all young people, we grew up together. Like
Like here.
Like here.
Australia. Yeah. Say it, Australia.
Hey, you rubbing you. We grew up here. So yeah, that was probably back in the 90s, but we were all still young kids. We just, families, community things. We used to come together, we go to one park, everybody comes together, they play. But then, community has their things, they sometimes have their falling outs, separated, and for them, the family, they moved to Mandra. And for us, we were always down here in the north. But then we had one of our family friends also. We were so close, we were almost calling each other cousins. But they're like the family friends.
Wait, yeah, I was going to say me or the family friend?
The
Which
family friends.
family friend?
I call you Ken. Draw that line right there. So yeah, one of my cousins, they got married. They were getting engaged. They were having an engagement. So while they're having the engagement, then the community brings people back together again to celebrate for their engagement. So then this family comes in and we see. The flowers have changed from how they were before, So we are there looking and admiring, things there, we start from there. But that's the time when I was trying to put my CV, but I got rejected a few times.
You have to resubmit.
I tried a bit, but it took some time. But yeah, it's just I guess it's patience and. You want something, you will really have to seek your mind to. So, it took some time, but I want to thank God that at least with all the pushing and pressing, I was even told, can you stop talking to me because I need my space, you're talking to me too much.
Guilty.
It happens. So, end of the day, it happens.
It's true. I never got yes at the first time, so it's alright.
It's not easy.
Nothing good comes easy.
The moral of the story is.
More of the story
You
is
have to know. You gotta make sure.
never give up. Never.
Never give up.
No matter how much you talk,
Never give up.
never. Because now we are here. When I think about those days, I now look back and say, hey, imagine if I didn't continue to pursue. I wouldn't have my 2.5 kids.
Come
here,
on. Give me a hair five now.
Yeah, fine. So from there, we started dating. I think that was back in 2011. Yeah, so we were together since 2011, and we got married in 2017. So yeah, we got married in 2017, and now it is 2021.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be our 4th year.
It's like 2020, but
2021. So we'll be celebrating.
Was erased.
Yeah.
Corona gave time for people to
to rethink.
And we'll enter into that one. But yeah, it was good. We have, as we said, 2 kids, and another one in the way coming. So I want to thank God. It wasn't easy, but we eventually came through. And we didn't meet in church because at that time we were still young and we just knew each other as family, friends, or community. So and even when we were together, still Mirembe didn't go to church because she wasn't safe. And even me, I tried to ask her to come to church. I'd ask her to come. She would come like 2-3 times, and then she'd say, what, church is not for me. I'm just like, it's what it is. Shall I continue? I leave it there.
You can leave it there. It's a bit of a teaser.
So he didn't miss anything? That's how you guys met?
I think that's how we met.
So I had some bit of curry powder and so.
So you really told him, you're talking to me too much.
I said
You
you're
need to calm
talking.
down. Stop.
I think I was 15 years old, and I said, look, I stood as if I was a 30-year-old woman. I said, I've had enough. I said, look, we're friends, but now this is just becoming too much. So, but we thank God, because I think if we got together at that early phase, then things would not have worked out as they have.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think we need a
God's
little bit of time,
timing.
to mature for sure.
Yeah. I think you guys are a good match.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
Cause I know this guy being the funny guy,
Yeah.
and you with your smile, I think you just compliment each other.
Compliment each other.
That's how I feel.
You compliment.
You gotta make me blush. Stop.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Well, that's nice. It's nice. I think it's always good to always remember when everything started. And sometimes the little things that you remember about those moments, sometimes they give you reasons to keep pushing, to keep working harder on your relationship, to keep doing your best, so that you can make sure what you guys have, that union continues to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. Thank you so much. All right, are you guys born again?
Yes, spirit filled.
Stephen?
Oh, there's some hesitation.
Yes, I'm born again.
There was something concerned there for a second.
You know me, man.
Is it during the
Babe, are you born again?
Yes. 100% sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I was gonna say something funny, but let's keep the questions. Do you remember that moment when you met Christ? Do you remember how you felt? What was the experience? This time we'll start here.
Yeah.
She hasn't spoken aloud.
Yeah. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah, so it's good because I think when I get the microphone, sometimes I'll talk too much. So it's good you gave it to him first. But yes, I remember the moment. Like we said, I wasn't saved when we first met. Like I didn't grow up in what I would say a typical Christian household. Maybe we would go to church like on Easter, things like that.
Yeah.
I went to Christian school, Lutheran school, different schools, but I would say, I believe in God, but I didn't know who Jesus was for myself. I didn't have that personal relationship with him. I didn't even know what that meant, So I just thought you can just believe in God and just pray to God and then, you're fine. But there was a time, like Steve said, he would invite me to church, and then I would just there was a point in time where at first I'd be polite and I would go, but then I just felt so uncomfortable because I wasn't ready yet. I wasn't ripe then. So I remember I just felt I was like, what is going on? Like, everyone's falling out and people are yelling, like, oh, what is going on? I would get so scared. I was like, what is happening? Someone's coming towards me trying to tell me to speak in tongues. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. What is this Holy Spirit? I don't understand. I was terrified.
Yeah.
But then all those times I do thank God because I laugh, because a lot of people, they meet me and they think, oh, you must have grown up in a Christian household. But I'm like, no.
I thought that until now.
No, I wasn't saved. And in fact, the times I would go to church, sometimes Steve would say, okay, like we would be going somewhere, and he wouldn't tell me that, oh, we're going to pass by church. So then we would pass by, then we would be driving towards the church building. I'm like, where are we going? He's like, we're going to church. I'm like, no. I would hide in the sound box. No joke. I would hide in the sound box. I would sit in there, I would pretend to sleep. I'd be like, I'm not coming out. So I would stay there. But all those times that I think I went there, and I think even my encounters with people of faith, they were all planting seeds in me. I just didn't know it at the time. So the time just before I got saved, it was like, almost like it was just a real wrestle. Like you could just tell there were things fighting to try and keep me back. And I would just get almost really argumentative. I'm like, no, I would be arguing my points as to why, like, no, I don't have to come to the church building, I don't have to do this and all of that. But then there was one time, I think it was a time where pretty much I think Steve kind of backed off from asking. So I was like, just stop asking me to come to church, just leave me alone. And then there was a time where I was at home by myself in my sister's room, and I was on her laptop. And then I think somebody had shared a video on Facebook, of all things, about it's like a pastor and his wife. I forgot their names. I think Megan Good and Devon Franklin. The randomest two. I loved Megan Good back in the day. I thought she was so cool. She's a beautiful actress. I was like, oh, cool, let me watch this. What is this about? So I watched it, and from that, I went to YouTube and I was just following interviews between her and her husband. And I realized, then at the time I didn't realize what it was, but really it was the love of Christ that her husband displayed towards her. God was using that to minister to me in that moment. And I didn't know what it was, but it was just almost like that wave, like it's a wave, but you can't see it, but I could just feel this rushing, and I didn't understand what was happening, but at some moment, I was on the floor, I was praying. No one had taught me how to pray or anything. I was praying and I was repenting, and it was in that moment that I gave my life to Christ. No one was there. I was watching YouTube, of all things. Who would have thought, you know?
Yeah.
But that moment, I remember standing up and just like tears down my face, and I was like, I just felt like a new person. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. And my parents were like in the other room, but I was just like in the room, like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I know you now. I know you personally. Yeah, so it was an amazing experience, and it wasn't until later on that I truly understood, because I was like, what is it that made me, you know, repent? But it was really the love of Christ that Devon Franklin, he's actually a pastor, that I could see him reflecting into his wife. It was just something I'd never encountered for myself. So yeah, after that, I think I told Steve, I was like, oh, like, I was asking if I could come visit, and he's like, oh, you know it's Wednesday, right? And I was like, yeah. He's like, you know we have Bible study. I was like, yeah, I want to come. I think he was like, excuse me.
What's going on?
Yeah, so from there, it's literally been, I've been running and obviously stumbling, falling, getting back up, running backwards, running forwards, you know, ever since. But I'll never forget that moment. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll come back to you. Before I come back to you, just be thinking, did you go through any challenges after that experience has happened? Is there anything any challenge that you went through, and how did you overcome it? Or are you still experiencing that challenge now? Okay, so my brother, how did you, do you remember that moment you met Christ? I mean, you're pastor's kid.
We are pastors.
Man.
We grew up in church. Well, we started going to church, I think, when we were young. We used to go to Anglican church back in the day. And then, I think those people, they were back in the Anglican days. Those days when we used to go Anglican church, I think that was when, that was in the 90s. And then those people, they received my mom and dad when they first came. So they even gave my mom and dad piano, guitar, things like that. So they, after some time, I think that, I think we then found one African church, and then we went to worship with them, and it was good. We used to move from church to church here until the time came, and then God told mom and dad that, you know what, it's time now to start church, and even they refused and they didn't want, and even for us, we kept telling mom and dad, we said, no, we don't want, no. They got so mad, and then they said no. Then even dad said, he said it himself, he said, you know, and even from all the churches that we went to, he really insisted he didn't want other people from the other churches to come to our church. He said, no, we want to start a church afresh. Not to go and then you've been in this church, okay, now this one, you like me coming to my church. No, it's like, no, you start afresh. He said, even if I don't want the instruments, my kids are going to play instruments. That time we didn't even know how to play at all. And then he says, no, we were even complaining we don't want to play. He says, no, you guys are going to play. And it's like, it doesn't matter, I'm not getting other people to play instruments, you guys are going to play. And we got upset. We didn't want to play. My brother was playing guitar, but even him, he refused. He didn't want to play in church. My sister, you know, for her playing keyboard, she didn't want to learn at all. And then me, I was easy going. I wanted to play drums, but I don't know. I just couldn't be beat coordinated. So it is what it is. So the time came, we started playing a bit in church. But then at that time, we had before we organized our church, we went to another church, and then one old lady, she was teaching my brother and my sister how to play. At least my brother, how he started playing guitar, I really don't know. All I know is the guitar that we were given by the people at the Anglican church. One day he just came home, the way he just started playing guitar, and we started hearing him playing songs in the room. We're like, where did you learn that? He's like, I don't know, I just picked up. He started playing, and we're like, where did this come from? Like, it's just like that. And then my sister also started playing keyboard. The lady was teaching her, and then they started teaching them chords and everything. Me, I didn't really go to the practice because I was like, well, the lady's teaching keyboard, and for me, I want to learn drums, and she's not teaching drums. So I was like, I really laid it back. And then the bass guitar came, and I was like, let me try a bit. And then, go to the Kawajat school of just it was just playing rock music and blah blah blah. I was like, I went for only 8 lessons, and I was like, this isn't for me. So I just left it as it is. I just learned basics from there. And then just continued to play at home with my brother and my sister. Then when the time came for us to start chatting, we started just in our house, in the living room. And it started slowly from there, and then from them learning from what the lady who taught them how to play was Auntie Sheila. Auntie Sheila, the way she taught them, then me, I would come with the bass and learn simple, and pick up from there. So I started just learning how to play by listening. And even for us now when we play, we learn more by hearing than actually following and reading music. At the time came when Dad says, no, I need you guys to become more better. I'm taking you to one guy and paying him so that you guys can learn the code. So he said, and even there we drag our feet, and you want to go. We went there, the guy would play, we listen to what the guy is playing, then we go and repeat what the guy is playing. Then the guy pulled my dad aside and said, these kids don't want to learn, man. Because they're not reading the music, they're listening to the music and playing. So we rebelled there, and Dad said, you know what, it is what it is. Whatever happens, happens. But we continue to play with each other. Now, today, my sister, the way she loves playing keyboard is another story. The way she plays keyboard, so sweet. And even when I just hear the way she plays keyboard, now that she's in Melbourne, I just hear her playing keyboard, it has that thing that I just feel like, I'm missing them like that. My brother, when I hear him playing guitar, it's just like, that thing, because it came to that point we were in church, and then we would play together, just like that. When you're in unison with everybody, it's like, man, it's like me, my brother, and my sister will play together, and then even Tinashe will be singing, and then the 4 of us, we had our own thing that Tinashe would sing, and then we'll be there. All of a sudden, we just come up with the thing we play all together, and it would come up so good. Some days we didn't even practice, but sometimes we come to church, and the way God really does something, and things sound so good. It's like, people getting slain in church, people burning. It's like, you're like, what's not happening here, So at that point, it's like, I really could see like God doing something. I'm like, and from that time, I said to God, hey, God, if this is how it's going to be, I said, wherever I go to play guitar, you take control. These hands are for you. It's like, I'm playing this guitar for you, because where I started from playing guitar, I'm still learning even to now. But I thank God for where I am with even playing guitar. So I say wherever I move and I'm playing guitar, it's like, God, you take control, because me, I don't want to show and try and, they play like this, I'm the best. No, I don't want to. I said, because me, sometimes I hear and I even say, me, sometimes I can't even play like that, I'm a little bit like this, but I want to thank God that He has given me the ability to play. The way I play. People say that I play different from what, and I just say, just play the way it is. It's God that leads me to play. So, what was the question again? When
did you meet?
This is the past. This is where you went.
It's okay.
I have a question.
It was a nice story.
You see, you've given us a story that we had no idea. So, this is the work of God, man. Thank you, man. Thank you for being obedient.
I guess I got baptized. I think that was probably 2007 or 2008. We got baptized, me and my brother, in a swimming pool at somebody's house. That time we got baptized, and that time you get baptized, you don't really take it seriously. But then you just like, it is what it is. But then there's a time where I was sitting in my room. I think those are the 2010 or 2009 days, and then I really just used to see God and He really. I think those are the days that really like I started really drawing more closer to God, and then even just sit in the room and you even feel like you can feel like when you pray and you really study the Word that you know that God is there. I just had that thing like come over me. That's like. I know that God is here. I say, God, don't leave me, because hey, this is too sweet, you know. But I think yeah, so it was probably 2008, 2009. And since from there, we have our stumbles, we fall so many times,
Yeah.
you know. But I want to thank God that He gives us people around us who can encourage us. You know, when we get down, I thank God I have people around me. I have my mom, I have my dad.
Yeah.
At least I'm working with my dad, so whenever we're together like all the time. We always have something to talk about, or we can always encourage each other, even if it's not directly about that. He can even say something, and it can be like, that helps me in a way. Like, okay, this is what I was thinking about. Or so many people come in the garage. It's like sometimes I say the garage is not even a workshop, but it's more like even a church or even just a
Fellowship.
People come, they start talking, and you start even benefiting from those talking.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, oh, okay. And then even one guy came the other day, and he just came and he took a photo of me and Dad just standing there talking to each other. And he's like, the way I see you guys, the way you just stand next to each other and talk to each other, I just see that bond of you two together. I was just looking at it like, what is he talking about? I'm like, but I don't know, the things that I've learned from him and from us working together hand in hand, it's shaped me to be where I am today.
Wow.
Have I answered the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You were trapped
Yeah.
in that presence that you didn't want to leave. Come around 2008, 2009.
And then when I left, then I got slapped and I had to jump out.
Sorry about it.
But do you remember when you met Christ for yourself, personally?
For myself, it is a long journey, let me say. I remember when I was 6 years old, that's when my mom received Christ, I'll say. Back then, the entire family were Catholic, and my mom became a born again, but yet to be baptized. And she started going to a Protestant church. I believe that's the way they're called.
Protestant.
Yeah. And all of us would be going to Catholic church, but there's just something that was inside of me that was telling me, and I would just be following my mom. I would be sneaking. I'll just be walking. It's like my sisters are walking before me, and I'll be staying behind just so that I can sneak and go and peep at the church where my mom is at. So just one day I sneaked one day, and I went and I was just looking at the church, what they were doing, and it was just amazing. I'm like, why are we going there? We should be following mom and stuff. From there, I just fell in love with that Jesus. I would say that from there, that's where I started. And at that time, I didn't quite know what it was, but I just wanted to be where whatever they're doing there, I felt it was right. And from the very day that I received Christ, I remember I was 12, just before we came here to Australia.
So you were not born here?
No.
Really?
Okay.
African.
Really?
Yeah. It's an adventure in Africa, though. When you're born in Africa, I would say it's an adventure.
And that's what the title will be.
I want to let's
I remember at that time my mom and my dad were already born again, we were baptized, and we were just going to church. So our life was just church Monday to Monday. And we were in the refugee camp, I remember very well, and it was during, just before New Year's, and that was in 2006, going to 2007, because we came here in March. And yeah, so we had 3-day fasting. And, you know, just going with the flow. And that very night, it was the second night when we were having it was like an opening between the night and the morning. We were having like a cup of porridge in between. Yeah, that night I don't know, something came over me, and the pastor was asking everyone that has not received Christ there for themselves. And yeah, I just felt the presence of God, and I was actually afraid to actually go at the front. So I was just in my corner, sitting there. I was seeing all the old adults, and everybody's going at the front, and I was just crying to myself in my corner. I was like, God, if this is right, give me the courage to go forward. And they were like, everyone who would like to be baptized at that time. And then I was like, I just hardly raised my hand. And I was like, I think this is the right time. Yeah, and that's how I got baptized. And straight away we came here. Yeah. Just I received Christ. Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay, so back to you. Yes, you shared with us the experience before and how you were struggling with church and stuff like that. And finally you got, okay, this is it, you got born again.
Yeah.
You received Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. And then what? Did you encounter any challenges as a newborn again?
Of course. Yes, for sure. I think, there's so many things that you could discuss, like whether it's personal challenges or experiences that you've been through. But I think something that I just feel like I need to share is like the challenge even in being in a relationship, like when you get saved, because I think we had gotten together when I was 15. I was turning 16 that year. So, and I got saved maybe a year or two after that. So a personal struggle that I went through that God really had to deal with me in is I had almost like tied my relationship to God as being with my relationship with Steve. So let's say there was a season, I remember there was this particular season where, let's say if we were fighting, I'd be like, fine, I won't go to church. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean? So I was quite, I would say, I was quite young and naive in that sense. And I had, I didn't realize it. So I wouldn't necessarily think, because of this, I would just go, I just don't go to church because I don't want to see him. But God had to teach me, like, he's like, are you serving me or you're going for Steve? So something God had to deal with me in, a struggle that I had was pretty much refinding my identity in Christ and knowing who I was aside from everyone, aside from Steve, aside from the pastors, aside from my sister, my sister-in-laws to be, all of that, because I had a habit of kind of attaching myself to whoever I was with, so they were really heavily influencing me. So it's like, I have to become like these guys instead of I need to become like Christ. So there was actually a season where God told me, like, okay, like you and Steve, like you just need to separate for a bit, because pretty much he's like, I need to deal with you, I need to teach you who you are by yourself. Like before any of these people were there, I was there for you. Before you even, before they invited you to church, who do you think was leading them to invite you? So I would say that was one of, like, it was a challenging season because from God separating me, you would think, okay, now you're going to be one-on-one with God, it's going to be perfect, it's going to be amazing. I wrestled that season, like there were so many attacks, like in so many areas, in our relationship, in my personal life, there were so many, but honestly, I think God allowed it in order to show me that it was Him that was going to deliver me. That it was Him that was there with me. So in that time, I'd be getting dreams. I felt that's the time where I can always remember that was when I was closest. That was when God was just pouring it. I was like a baby, and He was just feeding me, pouring, because I needed that encouragement. But I remember, it was a time where it was like, okay, this is amazing. I'm so close to God, but that was a time where I was undergoing the most, the most fire. But in that fire, it really was kind of like that. the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Like
Yeah.
I was in the fire, but Jesus was there
Yeah.
with me, and he was
Yeah.
enduring me. He was teaching me. He's like,
Yeah.
okay, this is how you fight. This
Yeah.
is how you endure. This is how you pray. This is how you do this. So. Yeah, of course. Like there, if I went through all the trials I've been through, we will be here all day. But I guess that one in terms of finding yourself and your identity aside from people, because I think that's something that a lot of young people, not necessarily even just young people, but a lot of people struggle with, particularly being in a relationship. Let's say with that idea of like, oh, let me just, I'll come to church in order to find a husband or in order to find a wife.
Yeah.
And then you find your identity in that person, and then you think, okay, because I found them here, there's going to be no problem.
Yeah.
Like, there's not going to be any issue. But
No.
it's like that. You're like, ooh. A person is a person at the end of the day. So I think it's, it's something that's so important that we need to know who we are aside from anyone else.
Yeah.
So I think in many different ways, I think God can take us through those seasons where it's like you feel by yourself. You might be surrounded with people, but you feel alone. And I think that's a special time for us to be able to draw closest to God. And it's really Him at the end of the day showing you like, hey, when everyone else is gone, I'm here. I've been here from the beginning, and I'll continue to be here. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's really good. That's really deep. You've actually answered my next question. Because I was going to ask you to, what can you say to someone who's going through difficult time or challenges similar to what you went through?
Yeah.
And you've answered.
Oh, well,
That's my life.
Hey.
for sort.
Okay. We're going to take a break.
No worries.
We're going to take a break, and then we'll be right back and then continue with our session. So, our viewers, please stick around. We're going to take a short break. Now you can go make a cup of coffee and grab some biscuits and stuff like that, and come back and watch part 2. Thank you. Yeah.